So with Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos on the horizon, I felt it would be a good idea to look back at the previous Magic the Gathering and D&D crossover books before the new one drops in November. Where better to start than at the beginning? Let's talk about Guilds of Ravnica. Roll the intro. Greetings, fellow adventurers. Fred here, and welcome to the Flying Dungeon Master, the show that brings RPGs to as many tabletops as humanly possible. Now, even for someone like me who doesn't play Magic the Gathering enough to even qualify as a filthy casual, it is blatantly obvious in the world of the Magic the Gathering card game that the Guilds of Ravnica sets are among the most popular, be it for their characters, the setting's lore and politics amongst the 10 different guilds that control the city plane that it takes place on among other things. It was only a matter of time before the imaginative team behind Magic the Gathering banged their heads together with the team behind Dungeons and Dragons at Wizards of the Coast and brought the two together into a D&D setting. But what can players expect to find in the streets and alleyways of Ravnica? That's what we're going to find out today. So without further preamble, let's dive into it. Kicking things off, we have the player options. In a traditional Ravnica setting, as I understand it, you usually choose which guilds you will be a member of, and that will determine what character options you have available to you, be it races, classes, and so on. The books integrates existing classes and subclasses into Ravnica while introducing two new ones for the Cleric and Druid. The Cleric subclass is the Order domain, which is favored in Ravnica by members of the Azoria Senate. I apologize if I butcher the pronunciation there. As a means of protecting the rule of law in Ravnica, but the way it is built makes it applicable to just about any setting. The Druid subclass is the Circle of Spores, which is a druid that doesn't see any wrong with undeath, and a lot of the abilities focus around symbiotic creatures, fungi, and other pretty gross things in my opinion. On a side note regarding the Circle of Spores, when I tried to upload my homebrew creation of the Dragon Rider subclass, that's on D&D Beyond's homebrew section, it wouldn't let me post it publicly because it was too much like the Circle of Spores. But upon reading this subclass, I had a hard time grasping how it was so similar. Because it feels distinctly different. So I don't know what D&D Beyond's problem is with my Dragon Rider subclass. The second chapter covers the guilds themselves, with a dedicated section to each guild, including their philosophies, what kind of characters would join said guilds, and the perks one gets for being a member of said guild. It also goes into detail, if you ever want to change guilds, how to go about doing that, and with 10 guilds controlling Ravnica, there should be something that appeals to a person, and each guild includes a background option tailor-made for that guild that you can use as your player background. The third chapter details the 10th district, its geography, and what kinds of people live and work in each of the 6 precincts, and gives descriptions of the 6 precincts in order to breathe life into Ravnica. These can range from the drawn-out political intrigue games of Precinct 1 on all the way to the rough-and-tumble working folk trying to make a living in Precinct 6. And lots more shenanigans in between. This chapter does contain a map of the 10th district and maps of each of the individual precincts that make up the district. An entire city plane is sure to be filled to the brim with interesting characters to meet and adventures to be had. Chapter 4 revolves around creating adventures, so this is pretty much a Dungeon Master based chapter that includes advice for guild-based and non-guild based adventures. There's how to involve the characters in the groups on Ravnica, and all the inter-guild drama one could ask for. This also includes internal guild adventures, allowing players to get involved in the affairs of the guild that can lead to adventures that can help further the guild's plans or something more sinister if possible. Almost to the end, we have treasures. These include money like coins and other forms of treasure, but what players really want to know about are the magic items. These can make or break a D&D book from what I have seen, and each of the 10 guilds have an affinity for specific magical items that already exist in previous D&D books, that are integrated into Ravnica by making them have affinities to one or more of the 10 guilds. However, this book does bring to the table its own assortment of magic items that are associated with certain guilds and or prolific members, so players will have new items to seek out on their adventures. And finally, the Guide to Ravnica includes a full bestiary of creatures and monsters that you can find in Ravnica. Tables integrating already existing monsters into Ravnica by guild, as well as sharing what creatures are unaffiliated with any of the guilds. But it wouldn't be a setting book without some new monsters to fight and encounter, now would it? This book includes at least 68 pages worth of new monsters from across the alignment chart distributed among the guilds. Many, if not all of them, have been drawn on from the Ravnica Magic the Gathering sets. And given appropriate D&D stats. Overall, I would say this book surprised me. I wasn't anticipating much in the way of player character options, but I would have to say, it's a fair amount of options. And personally, I would say where this book really shines is introducing new lore to the D&D multiverse. Letting Magic the Gathering fans interact with their favorite creatures and characters from the world of Ravnica. So those are my thoughts on the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. Let me know what you think of Ravnica's source book or in the Magic the Gathering card game down in the comments below. I cannot guarantee I will understand you when it comes to the card game or the lore, but post it nonetheless. And if you're new around here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to keep up to date with every upload that I put out. If you want to follow me on social media, support the channel, or contact me directly, you can find links to all that and more at my Linktree page down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the trail of adventure.